trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare.
All right. Hello, everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, so let's get ready to get black into it. All right, hello, Pensy Lola, Bronze Flat Power God, We the People, Reggie, DJ Big Six. All right. 504 Nola, Marvin Ransom is here, Hadassah. Okay, J Love the Queen. Let's get into it. Shout out to all my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, Juju. All right, Claudette. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. I see you, Nessa G, Trisha, Queen Sam, LL. All right. We the people. Did I say you? Okay, so let's get this party started. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget, you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, and don't forget that she sells beard oil. All right, so now let's get into it. Because Trump is still out here lying. Okay, he is still out here lying and acting as though he's been talking to Iranian officials and they're coming to some sort of agreement. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they say they have not been speaking to Trump and that the U.S. is basically negotiating with themselves. Okay, because Trump's just a liar who lies. All right, so let's get into it. So, first off, the U.S. gave their demands. Okay, here's what they say. You know what's really interesting? Trump is so idiotic. Now, he got rid of the agreement that President Obama made with Iran, and now he wants that same agreement back. Please make that make sense. See how stupid he is? It reminds me of the time when I was working a job and my boss, who doesn't look like me and was nowhere near as smart as I was or am, and so they asked me to redo the post orders, which is like this big binder of all the regulations, the things you do when there's an emergency, code reds, blue, and all this stuff or whatever. And so anyway, long story short, I did it thoroughly. But the lady who was in charge, well, she just didn't like me, in my opinion. And so she complained about the post orders and asked my boss to redo them. So when he did, the only thing he did was he took what I had already done and changed the font. He changed the font and put it back in the binder, the same binder with the same logo and everything I put on there, and gave it back to her, and she loved it. Okay. All I'm saying is that's what Trump sounds like. That's what Trump reminds me of. Okay. He wants to take a plan, a deal that Obama already made, rip it up, throw it away, doesn't want to have anything to do with it. But now you want that same deal back, the same exact plan, just take Obama's name off of it, put his on it, and give him the credit. That's what he's trying to do. Please pay attention. But anyway, here are the US's demands. Okay, the report specifies a list of demands that benefit the U.S. Okay, and they have conveyed this to Iran, and here's what it says as follows. And so Iran, number one, must dismantle its existing nuclear capabilities. Now I'm gonna let y'all sit there and marinate on that first one for a second while I sip my tea. Say what now? What? Iran must dismantle its existing nuclear capabilities. Well, why is that crazy? Because didn't Trump tell us he already obliterated their nuclear capabilities? In fact, he said they did that last June in the 12 Days War. Second thing is Iran must commit never to pursue nuclear weapons. And then third, there will be no uranium enrichment on Iranian territory. Next, he says Iran must hand its stockpile of some 450 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% to the International Atomic Energy Agency in the near future in a timetable to be agreed upon. Then the Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo nuclear facilities must be dismantled. The IAEA and UN's nuclear watchdog must be granted full access, transparency, and oversight inside Iran. The seventh thing is Iran must abandon its regional proxy paradigm. And then Iran must cease the funding, direction, and arming of its regional proxies. Ninth is the Strait of Hormuz must remain open and function as a free maritime corridor. The 10th thing is Iran's missile program must be limited in both range and quantity, with specific thresholds to be determined at a later stage. So basically telling them all the things, what they need to do. I mean, so who are they to make demands, okay, on something they started? But first of all, trying to get them to agree to things that would likely help them to lose a future battle. Yeah, right. Not going to happen. Okay, then says Number 11, any future use of missiles would be restricted to self-defense. So y'all can't come and attack us out of the blue like we did y'all. Y'all can't sit down and act as though you're negotiating and trying to come to a deal and then double back and attack us from the back door like we did you. Basically what he's saying. In return, Iran would benefit as follows. Now here's what they're going to give Iran. Okay, Iran would receive a full lifting of sanctions imposed by the international community. The U.S. would assist Iran in advancing its civilian nuclear program, including electricity generation at the Bushehr nuclear plants. And then, last but not least, the so-called snapback mechanism, which allows for the automatic reimposition of sanctions if Iran fails to comply, would be removed. No less. You don't have to say about this foolishness. Terry Hinn says the Strait of Hormuz is open, just not to divided snakes and their allies of GCC countries. Exactly. Okay. I mean, are they serious? But hold on, because it gets better. This is also interesting to me. Now let's go um to Iran's response. I mean, it's just the lies for me. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold on. Let me sift through here for a second. Okay, here we go. And so Iran rejects Witkoff and Kushner, okay, and insists that J.D. Vance could lead. Hold on, we'll get to that in a second. That's an article I'm going to talk about. Now, they say no negotiations. Iranian demands for an end to the war, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, they say, here's what they want. Closure. Hold on, let me just share my screen. Queen Sam said, I heard Iran said Trump kiss our grits. Okay, I mean, they said he's talking to himself at this point. You know. So anyway, Iranian demands for an end to the war, according to the Wall Street Journal. First of all, closure of all U.S. bases in the Gulf, guarantees of no further attacks, into Israeli strikes on Hezbollah, lifting all sanctions on Iran, war damage sanctions on Iran. Oh no, I'm sorry, war damage reparations and for Iran, and then no restrictions on the missile program. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Now it says Iranian representatives have let the Trump administration know they have a high bar for re-entering negotiations for a ceasefire deal. Okay, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has consolidated power within the shattered Iranian regime and is making demands such as the closure of all American bases in the Gulf and reparations for attacks on Iran. Okay, this is what people familiar to the situation have said. Okay, they say other demands include a new order for the Strait of Hormuz that would allow Iran to collect fees from ships that transit the waterway, as Egypt does now with the Suez Canal. So Iran wants to charge a toll fee. Okay, guarantees that the war wouldn't restart and end Israel's strikes on the Iran-aligned Lebanese militia Hezbollah, lifting all sanctions on Iran, permitting Iran to use missiles, its missile program with no negotiations to limit it. So, you know, this is what they want. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Trump's not going to give them what they want, and they're definitely not going to give the U.S. what Trump's asking for. Okay, that's what they're not going to do. And then also they came out and said that pretty much as far as they're concerned, Trump's talking to himself. Okay. Let me share my screen. You know it's bad when they'd rather talk to JD Vance. Okay, just in, Iran responds to negotiations allegations. They say you have reached a stage where you're negotiating with yourselves. Do not call your defeat an agreement. There will be no news of your investments in the region, and you will not see the former price of energy and oil. All right, so it's not going back to the good old days. Said you will not see the former price. You know, at this point, so many people are going in on the divided snakes. It's just really crazy. Now, here's another post that says, Qatar came out and said something. France has come out and spoken. Turkey. So they say regional security and military union with its dear neighbors without the presence of the U.S. or Israel. They say the Iranian Armed Forces spokesman said in a statement in Arabic, "Dear Muslim brothers, we do not need a country that is thousands of kilometers away to ensure our region's security, nor do we need a country that views Islamic countries as cash cows. What good has America and its bases in the region brought you?" He then added, "We must learn from the mistakes of the past and lack of supportive force which caused the Arabs' defeat in the 1967 and 1973 wars. We must unite to ensure our security and establish a comprehensive defense union." All right, so y'all heard that. So it looks like Iran is calling all the shots. Okay. Trump wants to say, listen to this. Hold on. I want you all to hear what Trump said just a little while ago. I didn't upload this video, but I'm going to play this clip that I got from the lady on iHip News. Hold on. On the iHip podcast.
The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. The New York Times. Do you want to give about a 3-minute statement on how we're doing in this, as I call it, military operation? People don't like me using the word war, so I won't. But the Democrats go to war. And at a very difficult time because, we are at, as they would say, a war. They call it a war. I call it a military operation. A very successful one, like nobody's ever seen before. Okay. We've won this. Well, this war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. The New York Times. Do you want to give about it?
So he said the war has been won. Meanwhile, he's still trying to call for a ceasefire, but the war is won. If the war is won, why is he the one begging for a ceasefire and negotiations and lying about it as well? Also, why deploy paratroopers? Okay, why do that? Please make it all make sense. These are the lies he continues to tell. And his foolish MAGA minions, of course, they'll believe it because all they do is listen to him in Fox News. Okay, they don't study, read, nor research. They don't, think outside the box. They don't have critical or analytical skills, in my opinion. And if they did, they wouldn't be MAGA. So that all being said, now let's talk about what Qatar said. Okay, we have response from Qatar. So let's get into it. Al B. Chill said propaganda is a hell of a drug. Yeah, it is. Absolutely, for Trump specifically. Okay, so anyway, here's what it says. Qatar Energy declares force majeure on additional LNG contracts. Now, for those that don't know, force majeure is basically they're saying that we don't have to stick to this deal because of some sort of extenuating circumstances that we can't contain, like maybe a natural disaster, an earthquake, a flood, a tornado, or a war. Okay, so they're saying we don't have to honor this negotiation or this contract that we have with you. So this is what they're claiming. Now, state-owned Qatar Energy has declared force majeure on several long-term gas supply contracts with buyers in Italy, okay, as well as Belgium, South Korea, and China, citing major disruptions to its LNG export capacity. And that's because Iran struck it because they're targeting, U.S. infrastructure. I do believe that is what happened. Now, the move allows the company to suspend deliveries without penalties. The disruptions are linked to damage caused by the Iranian missile and drone strikes or interceptions. Now, the decision could ripple across energy markets in Europe and Asia, which rely significantly on Qatari LNG, which again is liquefied natural gas. Okay, so they supply a huge amount of it for the world globally. So anyway, with that all being said, spokesperson Majadel Nassari warned during a press briefing in Doha on Tuesday that Iranian strikes on energy facilities have caused catastrophic, and economic dilemmas. Sure, it has. But here's the thing. I think Trump had no idea, nor the keg's breath, that Iran would take the measures that they've taken. They grossly miscalculated and underestimated them at the end of the day. And I also believe that in doing so, well, they definitely did the United States military a disservice. But I don't see how they didn't think, or wasn't even like something they even suggested to themselves might happen, because they know that Iran's not going to strike America, like they're way over there and we're way over here. So they should have had common sense to know. I mean, I don't even think it would have taken critical thinking skills to know that they're going to start disrupting the economy with the Strait of Hormuz. That likely should have been the first thing that they thought about. But anyway, I guess not. So anyway, France's army chief, Fabien Mandon, warned that the United States is becoming increasingly, let's go to it. Let me share my screen. It looks like Trump's gotten us all in a pickle, beloveds. Please pay attention. Okay, so anyway, it says that the United States, or France's army chief, Fabien Mandon, warned that the United States is becoming increasingly unpredictable, affecting France's security and interest. We were surprised by an American ally who is becoming increasingly unpredictable and doesn't even bother to inform us when they launch military operations, he said. Despite tensions, he stressed, the U.S. remains an ally, but France must adapt to protect its own citizens and priorities. Okay? And that only makes sense, as they should. All right, as they should. So, basically, people are just letting the U.S. know that they're not here for it. Trump's not trustworthy. He's doing things without consulting with the allies. And then once he gets in too deep and realizes it, now all of a sudden, he wants to come and beg them for help. Now, here's what the Turkish president had to say. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. So the Turkish president, this is what he said about the war in Iran. Although the war isn't Israel's war, the whole world is paying the price. The war is Netanyahu's war for political survival, and 8 billion people are suffering the consequences. Absolutely, including us. Okay, somebody had to say it. All right, Netanyahu does not want to go to prison, which is where he's headed. He's charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity, and he wants to stay in power as long as possible to keep from facing the gavel. That's what this is all about. Now, let's talk about Mossad Pezeshkian, what he had to say. Would I tell you everybody? Muad'Dib said France couldn't defend itself during World War II. Well, World War II was a long time ago, beloved. Things have changed since then, I'm sure. Today we are witnessing the awakening. Now, mind you, this is Pezeshkian. Okay, he says today we are witnessing the awakening of the people of many countries around the world. The people of Pakistan, Turkey, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt, and Arab countries are loudly expressing their disgust for America, Israel, and their crimes. The hearts of the free people of the world are not with Zionists. Stability in the region is possible only through cooperation and respect for the will of the nations. How did y'all hear it? Said the entire world is waking up to America's BS, basically, and they find us disgusting. I have to agree. We are disgusting. At least our government is. Absolutely, they are. Now, then they come back and say they want to speak with J.D. Vance instead of Trump. Iran has said it will not negotiate with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, deeming them, as the UK did, as foreign agents serving Israel. Well, I'm glad they know it. Instead, demanding to negotiate with J.D. Vance. So he's no better if you ask me. He is absolutely no better if you ask me. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Anyway, let's continue. Goes on to say the move would undoubtedly be good PR for Vance, who has been the subject of attacks from across the GOP, painting him as both too hawkish and too dovish. Through the negotiations, Vance gets a chance to cement himself as the pro-peace successor to Trump, standing apart from the hawkish Rubio and Hegseth. See, because Pete Hegseth or Kegsbreath and Rubio come off as a pair of idiotic warmongers who are just there to lick Trump's boots and do his bidding, no matter what the cost, whether it entails committing war crimes or any other types of crimes, and wearing shoes that you know are too darn big for your feet. Okay, Rubio. But with that being said, you know, this could work out in J.D. Vance's favor come election time, because one thing that good old MAGA does like is when there's no war, because they don't want the price hikes more, just like the rest of us don't. So, you know, that might help him if they negotiate with him. But, you know, we'll see what Trump has to say about all that, because Trump's told all these lies, and it's no coincidence that he wants Jared Kushner and Witkoff to do the talks, because the fact of the matter is they're absolutely right. Okay, Iran is absolutely right. They are agents of Israel. Okay, that's just the fact. They're not working at the behest of the United States. They're working at the behest of Bibi and them. Okay, and I find it all interesting because, you know, I don't even get it how Jared Kushner is even having any deal going through with foreign relations. Okay, and all of this grifting that him and Trump have been doing, there surely should be some consequences coming for that. Okay, sooner rather than later. Now let's go to this clip of Pete Kegsbreath talking. I really have to admit that I do get a kick out of watching him spew a stupid word salad, okay, with no seasoning and no dressing. He just sounds so ridiculous. Like he's just saying a bunch of words, just stringing together a bunch of words that really don't mean anything. Saying a lot, but not saying ish at the same time. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. See, this is what happens when you're on substances like alcohol. Okay, while there's a whole war going on. And let me just say, allegedly, because we know that they all say that Pete Kegsbreath has an alcohol problem, okay, has a lying problem, has a warmongering problem. He's just a malicious, low-down, dirty devil, in my opinion, right under Trump. Okay, he likes blood and gore and all of that. He likes war. He has no empathy nor sympathy. He's the same person who said, basically, rules of engagement be damned. Who needs rules? This is war. We'll do whatever we have to do and stop at nothing to get what we want. Isn't that what he thinks? Because he clearly doesn't believe in following the rules. We've already watched as they have again and again committed war crimes. So when you have people like BB Satan Yahoo, okay, and the idiot Trump, when you have people like them even daring to suggest that anyone else besides themselves are committing war crimes, it's just ridiculous. Okay, it's insidiously obtuse. Now, with that all being said, let's go to the footage. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share.
That when he sends his war fighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield.
As long as it's hard.
yeah.
You know,
Hold on, guys. I'm going to rewind that back because I want you all to pay attention to Trump's eyebrows or the look on his face as it slightly changes when Hegseth says long and hard. Ah, it looked like Trump looked like he was a bit perplexed. Hold on, let me just scale it back. Hold on, let's go back again. I get a kick out of these idiots. Now watch Trump's face. I wish I could zoom in some more.
Our hand on that throttle, as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield.
as long as it's hard.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you all see Trump's eyebrows go up? Did you all see his eyebrows go up? Robert said, Mr. Spock. Ooh, honey, that was hilarious, okay? That was hilarious. Hold on, we're going to get back into it.
President's eyebrows. Like, yeah, okay, well, I guess so.
With the throttle down.
Hold on. Hold on. I literally didn't know he was going to say something about Trump's eyebrows, too. Did y'all hear it? And then he said throttle. Keep our hand on the throttle. What's he doing? Is this a Harlequin romance or are we at war? Okay? What's this fool even talking about? It sounds like he just got through watching Cornhub before he got up there to do the briefing. It's all nefarious, okay? Michael says, Queen, are you suggesting that some subliminal messaging is going wrong? LOL. Yes. I mean, listen to the wording of it all. They notice it too, right? Keep our hands on the throttle. Long and hard. Let's continue.
Go.
Like that.
All the way. You know, it's very interesting to me that, you know, Donald Trump, anybody that's ever talked to him while he's selected, he always talks about central casting.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, but that
this
was
guy,
weird. I was uncomfortable.
this guy about the throttle,
Mm-hmm.
this guy is the opposite of central casting. Like, he's a kid. We negotiate with bombs. I mean, do you think an Iranian, like a member of the Revolutionary Guard, is going to go, oh, this scares me very much? No! They're going to, what a clown. You put the generals up with all this, medals, and they talk about it. We're going to,
But what was he saying?
I don't know. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But you get what I'm saying? This guy is the opposite of central. This guy isn't Norman Schwarzkopf.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, no.
This guy isn't like those guys that were up in the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. We've degraded. I mean, he's a kid. And I don't even say that.
Not comforting.
You don't want to be comforting up there. You want to scare the hell out of people.
Well, you want to feel like the person really has a grasp of the situation.
He's got a grasp of the throttle.
Oh.
He says.
Damn.
But Willie.
Ah.
It's so childish. He's a kid.
Yeah.
And why this guy's not from central casting. You want to scare the Iranians. This does not do that. Guys, we negotiate with bombs. Whee!
He thinks that he's saying the things that will make Dad proud behind him.
Right.
He
think Dad
talks
was
like
concerned.
a podcaster, and he gets in the briefing rooms, and he attacks the media, and he attacks Joe Biden and Barack Obama. You're the head of the Department of Defense.
Right.
You want to host a podcast, go host a podcast.
Right.
You'd probably be good at it and have a lot of listeners.
A lot of people follow.
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
But you're
I'm so through. Michael said, sounds like a Harlequin romance story. So I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, Danny Joe said Trump's panties got wet. Like, what is going on here? I'm with them. They said that's not how you scare Iran. Iran probably cracked up, just like we're all doing when they heard that fool. Sounds ridiculous.
running a war right now.
Right.
He's the head of the Department of Defense. And that kind of bluster feels unconvincing, I guess, to put it mildly. It feels like he's trying to play a part and say the thing that will get him a pat on the back from the guy standing behind him.
Gotcha.
Trying too hard.
It's frat boy rhetoric.
It's frat boy rhetoric.
And there is a clip that zeroes in on President Trump's face as Hank Sess is doing the throttle. His eyebrows, he just can't keep them in control. He's like,
oh my gosh. Okay.
but this is the rhetoric we've gotten at Pentagon briefings and yesterday from the Oval Office.
Well, by the way, it doesn't matter yet. Matters. The medium is the message, and when you're at war, you actually want people that look confident, that are not only briefing Americans but also briefing the world, and for your friends and your enemies to see. On that front, of course, Willie, we just keep going on. Two things happening at once. The president tries to reassure the markets. Oh, yeah, I'm ending the war. At the same time, the 82nd Airborne's coming in.
Yeah.
It's almost if the president's talks about peace might have more to do with the markets, as the Wall Street Journal editorial page suggests, than it does with actual peace talks.
Yeah, and putting out these vagaries that he hopes will calm the markets. We're going to play in a minute. He said something about receiving a present from the Iranian regime.
Right.
Wouldn't get into detail about what that gift was.
Do you think they gave back the pallets of cash that pissed Republicans off so much years ago? Maybe the Iranians said, we haven't even spent it yet.
Yeah.
Take your $14
Still in the
billion
garage,
pallets of
take
cash.
it back.
Take it.
That's how you know Trump is such a liar. He's sitting there telling people that Iran gave him a gift. Gift of what? Okay, this man is crazy.
Maybe they did that.
Yeah, but he's putting out these, there's no detail, of course. He said, we got a present from Iran. They're behaving well. They want to end the war. They're going to give up their nuclear weapon, which was breaking news mostly to the Iranians, who came out and said, we absolutely are not.
No, we're not.
He's just he's riding the wave of $100 a barrel of oil.
All right. So also ahead, long security lines continue at several airports as the funding fight over the Department of Homeland Security drags on. We're going to bring you the latest from Capitol Hill.
And flights keep getting canceled.
Yes.
Situation keeps getting worse.
Yes. We'll also dig into the landmark verdict against Meta for failing to protect young users from child predators, and a look at the surprising special election victory in Florida, where a Democrat won a state house race in a district that includes Mar-a-Lago.
And Ben, that's been happening. A lot of special elections, whether you look at congressional elections all the way down to state house elections, it seems that there's been quite a break for Democrats time and time again over the past year.
Yeah, I mean, you just see enormous energy on the Democratic side, kind of blinking red lights for Republicans that really just seems like it's totally national. It's, it's Latino voters, as they were talking about in the last hour, but it's also just everywhere. There's this energy around Democrats that is this blinking red light for a Republican Party that, fundamentally is led by Trump and is focused on the war right now.
Co-founder and editor-in-chief at Semaphore, Ben Smith, is here. Also with us, columnist and associate editor at The Washington Post, David Ignatius, joins us. And decorated combat veteran and former commander of U.S. Army Europe, retired Army Lieutenant General Mark Herdling.
He would always go up to the front line. He'd have a cigar in his mouth and chop and go, boys, we don't negotiate with words. We negotiate with bombs.
No, he did never say that.
Never once said it.
He's the author of the new book, If I Don't Return, A Father's Wartime Journal. And let's get right to our top story.
General, let me ask you what you think about that.
Let's not, actually.
We negotiate with bombs. Would that worry you if you heard that coming from the enemy?
Joe, far be it from me to critique the Secretary of Defense, but truthfully, it was not very comforting. And in fact, what I'll say is more what my wife said. During Desert Storm, my first ever deployment back in 1990, and then subsequent deployments into Iraq multiple times, there was always a sense of calm when she watched the defense head and the president in terms of what they were saying. Didn't always agree with what they were saying, but at least they provided a plan and what was happening. I said I wasn't going to critique the Secretary of Defense, but I didn't find it very enlightening with the, loitering over Tehran and the throttle down approach. I'm not sure what either one of those do to represent what the Secretary of Defense is supposed to do.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Now.
Okay, so let's continue. I was looking for this video. This guy was just breaking down yesterday. This guy on TikTok was basically breaking down how Trump just plays this little game when he does the market manipulation. Okay, he'll say that there's negotiations on the table, they're trying to come to an agreement or whatever. And then he says, let's wait 5 days. Okay, and he's like I told you all yesterday, I think it was yesterday, he does that so that the oil prices will go down and the stock market goes back up. And now people are on to him. They know exactly what he's doing. Okay, so anyway, let's go to this report where they talk about what Iran has to say about Witkoff, okay, and Kushner. They say the message passed through back channels to the Trump administration. Okay, now this signals that Tehran views the two men, and that'll be Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, says they view the two men who fronted the last round of nuclear talks as fundamentally compromised. Iranian officials accused Witkoff and Kushner of having stabbed them in the back, sitting across the negotiating table in Geneva while the U.S. and Israel were already planning Operation Epic Fury, which launched February 28th. See, that's what I told you all. They went and sat down for supposed peaceful talks, acting as though they wanted to work it out, but knowing full well that Trump and Bibi had already made plans to attack them, no matter what agreement they came to. Now, Iran believes discussions involving Witkoff and Kushner would not be productive. Okay, citing that its sources described as a deficit of trust following the breakdown of negotiations prior to Israeli and the U.S. launching military action. Now, an Iranian diplomatic source told The Guardian that if the negotiations are going to have an outcome, J.D. Vance should join. With Witkoff and Kushner, nothing will come of it. We've seen that in the past. Now, Iran's preference for J.D. Vance is tactical. You see, Vance is widely seen as a skeptic of U.S. military entanglement in the Middle East and has remained conspicuously quiet throughout the conflict. Iranian officials see him as more likely to want the war over than to use diplomacy as a cover for further strikes. They say the perception is that Vance would be intent on wrapping up the conflict. This is what a regional source told CNN. Now, Iran may be playing Vance's 2028 ambitions as much as his foreign policy instincts. He has built his political identity around skepticism of foreign military adventurism, an image increasingly difficult to maintain as the war drags on. An early diplomatic exit from the conflict would serve his political interests as much as Iran's strategic ones. Now, the White House rejected the CNN report outright. A White House official called it utterly false, describing it as a coordinated foreign propaganda campaign meant to undermine the president. Okay, because they're calling Trump out on his lies. So, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told Trump, or said Trump alone determines who negotiates for the U.S. Trump himself told reporters that Vance, Rubio, Witkoff, and Kushner were all involved in negotiations, adding, "And I'm involved." Nobody's talking to you, Trump. Sit down somewhere with your lying self. Sources familiar with discussions say that if in-person talks proceed in Islamabad later this week, Witkoff and Kushner are expected to represent the U.S., with Vance's attendance described as a possibility, not a certainty. See, this is how you know this is all about ego with Trump. If he was really so concerned about bringing the troops home without having to sacrifice any more of their lives and just bring this all to an end and stop the BS, he would definitely just send J.D. Vance to talk to them. But he's not willing to do that just because they asked about it. And here's the thing, they shouldn't even have had to ask. Trump's so idiotic, he should have thought of that first. But they don't think of anything. And who's still advising him? Okay, besides a bunch of fools. So Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has offered Islamabad as a venue, saying that his country stands ready to facilitate meaningful and conclusive talks for a comprehensive settlement. And he posted this online where he tagged both Trump and Witkoff. He said Pakistan welcomes and fully supports ongoing efforts to pursue dialogue to end the war in the Middle East, in the interest of peace and stability in the region and beyond. Subject to concurrence with the U.S. and Iran, Pakistan stands ready and honored to be the host to facilitate. Hold on, beloveds. pop-ups. Okay, to host and facilitate meaningful and conclusive talks for a comprehensive settlement of the ongoing conflict. And then he tagged Donald Trump, Steve Witkoff, and Abbas Araghchi, who's the foreign minister of Iran. So Iran separately tabled a set of maximalist counter demands in response to the U.S.'s 15-point ceasefire plan, including closure of all U.S. Gulf bases, lifting all sanctions, a Suez Canal-style transit-free fee framework for the Strait of Hormuz, and a demand that its missile program face no negotiations. A U.S. official described those demands as ridiculous and unrealistic. Well, you know, it's also ridiculous and unrealistic, the stuff that Trump's been saying. Let's not forget how just yesterday he lied and said that he and whoever the new supreme leader is would possibly be running the Strait of Hormuz together. Okay, so the lies just keep coming from Trump's team because at this point, that's all they know how to do. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. So let's go to the next clip. Here comes Trump with more of his BS. This now, Trump claims Iran's new leaders gave him a present. Now, here's the thing. It's funny because he said that he didn't know who the leader was. He said they had no leaders. Isn't that what he said? But now he's saying they gave him a gift. They have a whole panel on him on here to drag him about this foolishness. Because at this point, Trump is just saying any darn thing. Okay, I'm about to play the clip.
States has now sent Iran a 15-point plan to end the war in the Middle East as fighting rattles the region and economic fallout escalates. That's according to the New York Times, citing two officials briefed on the diplomacy who say the plan was delivered by way of Pakistan. The paper notes it is unclear how widely the plan has been shared among Iranian officials. It also remains unclear whether Iran will accept any offer or if Israel is on board with the proposal. I would say those are two key areas for this to work. Officials tell the Times the plan addresses Iran's ballistic missile and nuclear programs. The Wall Street Journal, meanwhile, cites officials who say the document calls on Iran to dismantle its 3 main nuclear sites and end any enrichment on Iranian soil, suspend its ballistic missile work, curb support for proxies, and fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The officials add that Iran would, in return, have nuclear-related. Now, not ever.
Now, you see, you say it that way, and sort of a chill goes up your spine. That's the way you do it.
However, in the Oval Office yesterday afternoon, President Trump continued to claim that negotiations were happening and that those talks involved Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff. The president was then asked about whether he could trust the people the U.S. is negotiating with, leading to this exchange.
Why do you say, what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize.
Hold on. This is how you know he is a whole darn fool. If the people, he's lying, first of all, we know that. But just think of this. If the people that you're actively currently in a war with, and you've said all these crazy things about them, and you've been lying and all this stuff, if they sent you a gift, and it's a huge gift from what he said, wouldn't you have cause for concern? Like, just think about it. A big box shows up at his door to President Trump from Iran. You'd actually open that? I I would automatically think it's something nefarious, like a bomb. You know what I'm saying? They already said they were going to take him out. They already had a bounty on his head at one point, and likely still do. So even if they sent him something, why in the hell would he even entertain it, open it, look at it, trust it? He's so stupid. His lies make no sense to a fool. Trump is officially the court jester, but he wants to be the king. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely not. Let's continue.
They gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it, so that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related, and it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people.
What it showed me is we're dealing with the right people. Now, hold on. Is this real life? Is this real life? Did I just fall into the matrix? Okay, did I just jump timelines? It's going on here. Do y'all hear this? Jerry Hall said anthrax. Exactly what I would have been thinking. A box shows up at the White House or anywhere else I get my packages delivered to from Iran. I'm not going to open it. Please. Oh my goodness, it's all so sad. This man is a fool. Okay, but sadly, he's in charge. Daddy Joe said Iran's playing chess and Trump is playing tiddlywinks. He definitely is.
I'm reminded of the scripture. We are looking through a glass darkly. Because David Ignatius, you need to break this down for us. And one thing, the only thing I am have assurance with is the president says he's not going to trust the Iranians. That has been a pretty smart move since 1979. But David, break this down for us because we have two things happening at once. We have the president, as the Wall Street Journal opinion page suggests, for markets. President talking about peace. At the same time, you got Marines, the 82nd Airborne. You got a lot of people that are moving, a lot of troops that are moving toward the region. So a discordant moment here where the words aren't matching the action. So break it down for us. What's going on? Best as you can tell, are these talks of peace plans more about calming the markets and keeping oil below 100? Or is the president really moving in that direction?
So, Joe, the first thing to say is that we don't know. The mismatch between different messages is characteristic of Trump, and knowing which one is the real message is part of the struggle of dealing with him. We're in what the Wall Street Journal calls this morning the fog of diplomacy. We often speak of the fog of war, but in this case, it's the diplomacy that's hard to understand. What we do know, I think, with some confidence, is that Trump administration sent a 15-point list of its proposals for a settlement to be delivered to Iran via Pakistan. There's hope that there'll be an actual meeting in Pakistan involving U.S. and Iranian negotiators on Thursday, as you mentioned earlier. The gap between the positions in the U.S. 15 points and the Iranian positions are still wide apart, but that doesn't mean that negotiations couldn't bring them together. I think the discordant part, as you mentioned, is that as this discussion by the president, emphatic call for peace goes forward, so does a plan, it seems, to deploy the 82nd Airborne and 2 Marine amphibious units, many thousands of troops. What are they going to do? Are they going to seek to occupy Karg Island or other parts of Iran?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's sending these paratroopers over there and all of that. What are they supposed to do when they get there? They want to have a massive ground invasion? Total disaster. Okay, total and complete disaster. But hold on, because here's a report from 22 minutes ago where they say Army veteran Representative Crow says Trump's gone too far. said he's gone too far. Troops being deployed to Middle East. I don't say he's gone too far. And then somebody else did a report said Trump lied and Iranians are telling the whole planet. I think the whole planet already knew Trump was lying as soon as he did it. Let's continue. It's all sad.
Crow. He's on the Armed Services and Intelligence Committees, and he is a former Army Ranger who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time. As these diplomatic channels are working, we do know that the U.S. is still sending more American troops to the region. Up to 3,000 soldiers from the 82nd Airborne Division are now set to be deployed. Of course, you were a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne. What does this indicate to you? What type of operations could they handle?
Well, Anna, I'm just thinking about my time as a young paratrooper during the invasion of Iraq and then later as an Army Ranger in Afghanistan, where we spent $5 to $8 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan, 20 years. We spent all that time to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. And after 10 years in Iraq, we pulled out and ISIS then took over. So we have a bad history of regime change and nation building that ends up poorly, and not just ending up poorly, but thousands of American troops die, trillions of U.S. taxpayer dollars spent. And I'm looking at the chronology here of Iran. Let's take a step.
You see, that's my thing. I don't know why everybody wants to act like the U.S. is so big and bad. They haven't won wars. What wars have they won? You can count them on your hand. They lost Vietnam. Okay, they didn't win the Iraq War. All right, and then they stayed in Afghanistan for 20 years trying to get rid of the Taliban, only to leave $80,000 worth of military equipment over there. Remember that when Biden pulled them out? And then also the Taliban was right back in charge. So what was the point? All of that time wasted on BS. And here we go again. Trump's only been in office for a year, a little over a year, and here's where he is already. Us in a whole war. But I told you all Trump was going to thrust us into a war with Iran. I told y'all that over a year ago. Okay, Muad'Dib said Korean as well. Okay? Like, what is going on here? And this is the worst president to have in office, or that we've ever had in office during a time of war. This is the complete idiot in chief. Okay, this is the worst person. Because this man is demented and stupid and idiotic and narcissistic as he is, and the pathological liar. He has, unfortunately, the nuclear codes sitting right there in the Oval Office. He has the nuclear codes, and that's really scary. Okay, that's really scary. I want y'all to pay attention. And I hope this war hurries up and ends.
Back and actually look at the chronology. You had a deal that was negotiated by Barack Obama that had IAEA monitoring, that had limits on nuclear program, that had civil nuclear cooperation, all of the elements that the Trump administration is pursuing now. We had that deal. Trump comes in his first administration, tears that deal up. We've been spending the last 7 years spending money, saber rattling. Now we're at war with Iran. Service members have died. We've spent tens of billions of dollars to go back to the Barack Obama deal. So what is Trump doing here? This is why Congress needs to get involved. This is why we need a strategy. And this is why we actually need a real debate on this and why authorizations from Congress are so important.
Can you give us any insight into the 82nd Airborne?
Yeah, this is one of the best units in the military. I started my career as a paratrooper. These are, it's the All-American Division, storied division. These are incredible young men and women, two-time volunteers, right? They volunteered for the Army, and then they volunteered to be paratroopers. So some of our best, which is why it's so deeply important that we have tough conversations about how, when we put these folks' lives on the line, how we're going to do it, if we're going to do it, what protections we're going to put in place, and that we're not cavalier with their lives and their safety. I take this so deeply personally, which is why I am hot about what's going on here right now. I don't know what the strategy is. I don't know what the end game is. And I want to make sure I'm protecting my fellow All-Americans, my fellow paratroopers.
These are real lives. And CBS recently spoke to the husband of Army Sergeant Nicole Amer, one of the American soldiers who was killed in Kuwait at the start of these military strikes. Here's part of their heartbreaking conversation.
What did she tell you when you were saying goodbye?
I'll see you soon. There are some things that I have run through in my mind over and over again about last moments that I had with her and last moments that kids had with her. And they were so comfortable because we thought she was safe.
Truly, truly heartbreaking there. Has the president or the defense secretary done enough to explain to these family members why they are sending in more troops, especially if President Trump is trying to wind down the war?
I don't know what they've done with these family members, if they've spoken to them or not. I can't speak to that. But
Trump's running up our bills and everything with his foolish self. Okay, and then also in other news, Trump's got some more problems because, like I said, they said on one of the MS Now clips, the Dems have won Florida. So he's having a really bad day, okay, which is going to lead to a real bad week. But now Trump appeared to have business motive for keeping classified documents, according to Jack Smith. Okay, so let's go to this report because Jack Smith has found some things. It's not looking good for Trump. This came out a few hours ago. Let's get into it.
From special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into Donald Trump suggests prosecutors believed they had identified a possible reason for why the president kept troves of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago club after leaving office. In a progress memo reviewed by MS Now, investigators write, quote, Trump possessed classified documents pertinent to his business interests, establishing a motive for retaining them. Adding, we must have those documents. Let's bring in the co-author of that piece, MS Now senior investigative reporter Carol Leonnig. Carol, what more can you tell us about this motive that is being uncovered here?
Well, you know, one of the biggest mysteries, Mika, I mean, for most of us serious fact-based journalists was like, what is the reason Donald Trump engaged in something that was so incredibly risky and put him at huge criminal exposure, taking hundreds and hundreds of pages of classified documents, some of them so top secret, so restricted that only the president could authorize people to review them. Why did he take these things from the White House in January 2021 as he left office and Biden assumed control of the presidency? And now we know from this January 2023 memo that appears to have been accidentally released by the Department of Justice under Donald Trump. Now we know this memo shows Jack Smith's team was working with the FBI, reviewing this as a possible motive and finding that he, Donald Trump, kept all these documents that pertained to his global business interests. Now, I wish I could tell you, Mika, I really do, and Joe, that I know which business interests those documents sort of shed some light on or helped Donald Trump. But, you know, we've known for a long time that Donald Trump is laser focused on his business, said he basically separated himself from it in his first presidency, but never really did. And now we have evidence that Jack Smith believed this was a very possible motive for Donald Trump in putting himself in the crosshairs of a criminal prosecution.
And, you know, Carol, the other thing these documents remind us of is just how extensive and serious the smuggling of these documents to Mar-a-Lago was. Congressman Raskin writing this letter to the Attorney General that some of these documents are so sensitive, only 6 people in the United States government had access to them. And the idea that since then, the story has been an attempt anyway to be whitewashed by President Trump and his administration, saying that there was an FBI raid. Well, the FBI executing a legal search warrant after months and months and months of the National Archives asking politely to have these classified documents back. It just shines another light on how serious this story is.
Totally, totally will. And you know, another wrinkle to that I'll emphasize, the FBI postponed and resisted and waited on that raid, that court-approved search, unannounced search of Mar-a-Lago in August of 2022. They waited for months and did not want to do this search because they felt that it was going to come back and bite them, that searching a former president's home was going to have bad optics, quote unquote, according to some of the FBI supervisors. But they were ultimately pressed by the FBI director, Chris Wray, and the deputies because they had a witness inside Trump's Mar-a-Lago office who had pictures of multiple boxes of records. So they knew that they knew very certainly that Trump had not complied with a federal subpoena to return those classified records. Again, raising the question, why in the world would Donald Trump both take and then lie about having these records? Now we know at least that Jack Smith thought a business interest was at the heart of this.
All right, the new reporting is online at ms.now.
Trump's just a whole liar and a darn thief. Okay, and to think that they allowed this man to become the president again, he should not even have been allowed to run, okay, due to his nefarious crimes. And they know this man was committing crimes. Please miss me with all of it, okay? Obstructing justice, doing all sorts of nefarious things, backdoor deals, conflicts of interest. I mean, where does it all end? Okay, where does it all end? But let's go to what the people are saying, honey, about Trump. Hold on. This man says he will never forgive MAGA. That's right. Muad'Dib said for personal gain. What else? Exactly. Just like he's been grifting the whole time he's been there now. Okay, please pay attention. That's all he's been doing, a grift.
So here's the deal. I'm so fucking sick and tired of some liberals that say the following. Well, they're coming off the Trump train. We need to welcome them back because we need their vote. Fuck them. Fuck their vote. And the only reason why they're not coming off the Trump train, they realize that they're getting fucked with no fucking lube. Okay? They're not on our side. They never were on our side. And the minute they get somebody else in there that actually is worse than Trump, because if they were smart, they would put a smile on their face and they would do devious shit behind the scenes and then smile and try to fool you that they're doing good things for you. They're not. There's no more off ramps. There's no more talking to them. I don't give a fuck about them. I don't give a fuck about their families. None of it. I don't wish no harm on nobody, but here's the truth. They wish harm on us. So if shit does come to them, it's fucking karma. I don't give a fuck. So don't ever come on my fucking videos and comment with, well, you know, we need to. Fuck no. Didn't Michael Cohen show you who the fuck he was? I knew he was a piece of shit. And full disclosure, I did want to interview him at one time because the one question I wanted to ask him that nobody ever asked him, nobody under Midas touch, nobody ever fucking said was, how did he make the small contractor, the painter, the electrician, the plumber right? With 2 fucking best-selling fucking books, he was making as much money as he can. And now he's fucking wanting to make more money to grift along with Trump, kissing Larry Trump's ass, going on her podcast and everything else. He's a scumbag motherfucker, and he's a disgrace to my 50% European Jewish side. Fuck you, Michael Cohen, and fuck anybody that follows you with your fucking bullshit.
Well, he's ticked off. Okay, y'all heard what he said.
Is. As a society, the state of Israel is basically an offshore sort of crime hub. There's a journalist working for the Times of Israel, an Israeli journalist, and he publishes a story about, first they thought an Iranian missile hit one of these settlements in Israel. So he published this story, did his job as a journalist, investigated it, found out that, yes, indeed, it was an Iranian missile. And the Times of Israel runs with that. And he gets, a few days later, gets death threats from Israelis because of what he published. So it turns out that Israelis are making bets on Polymarket and Kalshi, these political betting sites. This is so corrupt, this industry. And they put these huge bets that Iranian missiles aren't going to hit on that day. I forgot what day of the month, might have been March 10th. They threatened him to say, change your story, say it was an errant anti-aircraft interceptor that hit this village in Israel, not an Iranian missile. They said, if you don't, we're going to kill you. And so intimidation, threats, death threats. And he decided to stick to his guns, to his credit. But they wanted him to alter the story because they lost a ton of money on these political betting sites. I mean, these people are criminals. The whole society is corrupt. Imagine you're getting pelted by Iranian missiles every day, and the best thing you can do as an Israeli is to go bet on missiles landing on a US-based website. And then when you lose, you then threaten to kill the journalists unless they change the reporting of the facts. I mean, this is a level of corruption that's quite hard to comprehend. And so Polymarket, this site should be illegal in the US, and it should be illegal for the reasons about what we're seeing here, but
Yeah, it should be illegal. Okay. It should be illegal. Now, it's the world's largest decentralized prediction market platform. Okay. They basically founded this thing in like 2020. It hasn't been out very long. These users trade shares on the outcome of real world events using cryptocurrency. Now, it operates on the Polygon blockchain using US coin, USDC, and trading, allowing users to buy yes or no shares that represent the probability of events in politics, economics, and sports. Okay, but they sit up here threatening people over there, so they like sit down somewhere. But if you talk about them like what he's saying, well, you know, they'll try to put that tag on you, okay, for telling the truth. Please pay attention.
also the level of insider trading. Anyone in the White House or who knows somebody in the White House who knows when the war is going to start can put a massive bet down, take odds, and they did. They can also put bets down on oil prices spiking. I mean, they're doing that in the markets anyway, but they're also betting when Iranian missiles are going to hit or not. And it turns out that Donald Trump Jr., who likes to say, my father, he is on the advisory board of Polymarket, this corrupt political betting site that's engaged in high-level insider trading, even probably at White House level. The president's son is on their advisory board. You know, what's to say if the people in policy and the cabinet are thinking, well, we'll make a difference whether we start the war on Thursday or wait till Monday, or create an outcome in order to get a windfall of profit on these corrupt betting sites. This site should not be allowed in the US. It should be illegal. I don't think anybody in politics should be even remotely involved, or anybody whose family's involved with politics. I mean, that should be first one of the main, in terms of criminal probes after this, I would definitely put that in the frame. You can clearly see a number of bets have been placed by people with insider knowledge in the US government. But this Israeli story just takes the biscuit, folks.
Oh, so nefarious. Y'all heard that? Absolutely egregious. Meanwhile, India is facing severe fuel and gas shortages due to the ban on Indian ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Well, you know, they brought this on themselves, honey, because I can't even believe India had the audacity, okay, and the stupidity, mind you, to side with the U.S. They must be crazy. But anywho, let's get into it, because it's all going bad for them real quick. Okay, I mean, hey, I don't feel sorry because this is what they get. Look at that. That's the gas station. Okay, that's the gas station, folks. No gas to be found, clearly. Moving right along. Meanwhile, this lady right here, she went viral for wearing a Trump hat with a wedding dress. Okay, clearly a hillbilly in my opinion, was indicted on 19 child sex crimes. Okay, the GOP gang of PDF files is filled with perverts and PDF files. Okay, clearly. How many of them have we called out? Now listen to this. This is a former CIA officer, and here's what he has to say about the war on Iran.
Similarly, and if there's some very good open source intelligence sites that we've seen a flow of the special operations commands, kind of lead elements, Army's Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, the Task Force 160, that's U.S. Special Operations Aviation, 75th Ranger Regiment. They also have been going to the Middle East on C-17s, multiple flights over the last 48 hours. So we're seeing the deployment of what are ground forces. And so I think that's something that, one should take note of, in particular, because in the past, when Trump has done this, whether it's the Venezuela operation with Maduro or the initial kickoff in Iran, when he moves military assets, he actually uses them. And in particular, we also have to remember that the Marine Expeditionary Unit, the one coming from the Pacific, that will be on station by Friday. In the area too. So that's another contingent of Marines. So there are forces, there are ground forces flowing to the region. I think that's really significant.
He thinks that's significant. He's not smart either. Because, sir, these people are going to get killed, okay? That's what's going to happen, unfortunately. I mean, I pray that they don't, but I absolutely believe that's what's going to happen here, okay? Because this is just a fool's mission. I don't even know why Trump is sending these people there, okay? It's a huge mistake. So with that all being said, let's go to this last report. CBS News rushes to take down leaked CCOT 60 Minutes episode. It was horrific. Okay, so let's see what they're talking about. I wonder what it was all about that they had to take it down so quick. Likes up, everyone. Please get the likes up. Listen, okay, it's 517 people in the chat. Please, let's get the likes up to at least 350. Okay, is that the best you guys can do? Okay, I'm out here putting in work. I'm out here putting in work and exposing Trump's grift and lies. Y'all can't hit the like button? What's really going on here? Okay, Sosa said, Queen is correct. They are going to their demise. America has told the enemy step by step the plans to invade. Yes. And it's just ridiculous. Okay, and they're never it's just not going to be. I don't even know how Trump thought this was a good idea. How Kecksburg thought this was a good idea. Like, this is a catastrophe waiting to happen, literally. Anyway, let's continue.
We have some news right now. CBS is rushing right now to get it taken down, the leaked 60 Minutes CCOT episode across the internet. It was posted on YouTube. It was leaked on Canadian television, despite Barry Weiss taking it down here in the United States of America. And let me tell you.
Oh, you all know. Hold on. Let me pause for a second.
And I think everyone needs to know.
This is the interview, or this is like that little mini documentary or whatever they did months ago, if you remember, when they were talking about the prison. Where they were sending all these migrants to. Okay, so where's Geraldo to tell their position? So that's what has gotten leaked. Oh, wow, I'm gonna have to try to check it out. Yeah, Barry Weiss had them to take it down.
Know what was in it, so let me share with you what was in it right now. This, according to Variety, I actually watched it as well. It was absolutely horrific. It featured the story of a Venezuelan college student who was seeking asylum in the United States of America. His name, Luis Munoz Pinto, says, quote, "There was blood everywhere, screams, people crying, people who couldn't take it and were urinating and vomiting on themselves. 4 guards grabbed me, and they beat me until I bled, until the point of agony. They knocked her face against the wall. That was when they broke one of my teeth." That is his experience in the CCOT facility. And everyone needs to know about it, even if Barry Weiss doesn't want you to. So spread the word.
So sad. Oh my God, just to hear that. But hold on. I almost forgot to tell you all about this. Because remember when I was talking about those predators amongst the MAGA cult minions? Yeah. Well, BB's got some too. So let's talk about this guy by the name of Tom Alexandrovich. Okay? We'll talk a little bit more about him later on tonight when I talk about the Epstein stuff that I was supposed to talk about last night, but I never made it back, folks. Okay, so listen to this report. This man has been released and gone to Israel.
Of Las Vegas in a child predator sting designed to get online predators off of the streets of Las Vegas.
Hold on, let me write that.
Breaking news out of Las Vegas. in a child predator sting designed to get online predators off of the streets of Las Vegas, a Israeli internet cybersecurity specialist named Tom Alexandrovich was caught. He was trying to lure a child, or who he thought was a child, back to his hotel to perform sex acts. The chief of police that got him in this sting was so happy, but here's the problem, folks. Before he got back to work the next morning, Tom Alexandrovich was nowhere to be found. He was released from jail, put on an airplane, and sent back to Israel with no charges pending. How much power does Israel have in this country, folks? Look this man up, Tom Alexandrovich. I'm going to put his name here. He's an Israeli cybersecurity specialist working for who? Netanyahu. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when someone gets arrested for a felony trying to hurt a child sexually,
Make it all make sense. Okay, we're going to talk about this dude tonight. We're going to talk about Epstein's death and the likelihood of a cover-up. Okay, and then we're going to talk about some more nefariousness because this young woman came out and said her father, who was the chief of police, was doing all kinds of nefarious things that are mentioned in the Epstein files. Okay, we're going to get into it, folks. Make sure you tune back in at about 7:30. Okay, so let's go to this last clip, then I'm out of here.
This video will very likely get suppressed, so I'm going to ask you yet again to repost this to avoid the TikTok censors. The following quotes that I'm about to read for you are from court documents that detail the living conditions at the for-profit immigration detention center in Dilley, Texas. And as you are listening to these quotes, keep in mind that this is a center that exists for profit and is holding families, including young children and infants, in its care. Keep that in mind. A 2-year-old with an infected gum that Dilley staff did not treat for over 23 days, leading her to have a fever, infection, cry relentlessly, and be on a liquid diet the whole time. The children chew their nails, and many have regressed to wetting the bed again. They are deteriorating psychologically. A 10-year-old child with Hirschsprung's disease who lacked proper medical care and diet, resulting in no bowel movements for over a month. The workers laugh at the kid's pain. Staff laughed in a child's face as he ripped up their drawings. Staff threatened to separate a family when a toddler wouldn't stop crying from an untreated toothache. A 9-year-old girl was left with scratch marks all over her entire body due to allergies and no special diet provided. The soap that they have here hurts our skin and hair and make us break out in hives. It is making me and my daughter's hair fall out in big clumps. My son has had a scaly rash all over his body since week 1, and it has never gone away. They have thrown away the crayons for our security, and so the children would not write more letters about the conditions at Dilley. Families have consistently reported their children are hungry, exhausted, perpetually sick, and despondent from the conditions of confinement at Dilley. For any illness, the only advice is to drink more water. The water is undrinkable. Every day I am crying because there is no food for our son to eat. I am so sad all the time that there is not baby food here. The lights are kept on all night while the children try to sleep. Children with disabilities and chronic medical conditions continue to deteriorate from Dilley's harsh, restrictive environment, separation from their medical providers, and interruption of their medical care and healthcare plans.
Absolutely disgusting and deplorable, okay? And nobody's doing anything about this. Somebody needs to be shining a light on this. There needs to be something done ASAP. These people should not be forced to live that way. And think about the children. This is absolutely egregious, okay? So sad and nefarious. At the end of the day, Trump is the damn devil. Oh my goodness, I can't stand that man. And let me just tell you all something else before I close out. I told you all years ago, at least three years ago, I told you all that people who say things like some of the things that I say, for example, who speak against the government, who go against their propaganda, who go against their narratives that they push, who call out their lies, specifically Trump's, that pretty soon these people will be deemed as terrorists, domestic terrorists, and they'll put our names on lists. And I told you all this, and that will give you trouble when you try to fly domestically or internationally. So guess what? That day is here. The time is now. Okay, that day is here. The time is now. They talk about it in Project 2025, and they say that there is list of people that they have actively been gathering and collecting names of people who are anti-ICE, okay, anti-ICE, and people who are anti-Trump. Now, I want you all to think about that. Here's the problem with that. Well, there's a whole lot of problems. But first of all, it is the annihilation of the First Amendment. And second, it is the fact that Trump has the audacity to talk about other regimes. He wants to talk about Maduro and say how he treated his people. He wanted to go in on the supreme leader of Iran and talk about how he was oppressing his people. Trump's doing the same thing that he accuses them of. He's doing the exact same thing. This is supposed to be the land of the free. Okay, who's free here? Not people who look like me, not black and brown people. Okay, not people who come from foreign lands, unless you look like Trump. So I want you all to pay attention because there's a very good likelihood that they have many of our names, the people on YouTube, the people on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media sites, TikTok, you name it, who speak against Trump's administration and who don't agree with ICE and their nefarious, wicked tactics. They likely have our names on a list. So when we go to the airport to try to go somewhere, we will likely be harassed, okay? I want you all to pay attention because if anybody puts hands upon the queen, well, you can just figure out the rest, but at the end of the day, I will be uploading it. Okay, if anything like that should happen, okay, I just want you all to pay attention to how this country has changed for the worst. Okay, and MAGA minions who want to flip now, who want to say, oh, I should have voted for him. I'm an idiot, like that lady said. I voted for him 3 times. Well, those people are idiots. Okay, and even though now they want to cry foul and they want to have buyer's remorse, I feel nothing for them. Okay, because the bottom line is they didn't give a darn when things were negatively impacted or they felt that things would negatively impact the Black community, okay, the migrants or anyone else. As long as they thought it was going to all be things happening where they could sit back, okay, unbothered, and they could just laugh at the rest of us and talk trash and say, oh, that's what they get. They should have been following orders. Okay, they should have been listening to the ICE agents and all kinds of foolishness. And they didn't think about Trump starting a war because he's a whole warmonger. They didn't think about the economy being in the tank, gas prices being sky high, food prices and all of that, not only being high as hell, but a possible food shortage around the corner. They didn't think about any of these things. Okay, they didn't really care. And though they tried to shame Black people and brown people about SNAP benefits, let the record reflect that they are the ones who disproportionately are on SNAP benefits. Okay, but clearly they didn't care about that either, because you see, one thing about racist demons and devils is that they will literally cut off their noses to spite their faces. You see, even if something is beneficial to them, as long as it's taken away from people that they can't stand, who they are racist towards, well, they'll be willing to sacrifice it themselves as well. That's what they'll do. You see, if you didn't know, this is why in the divided snakes, when it comes to things like Medicare, okay, Medicare only pays for 80% of medical bills, all right? And the reason is because the divided snakes didn't want to give people free health care here. They didn't want to make it 100% free. So the people that are eligible for Medicare, it only pays 80%. That was all by design because it didn't want Black folk to have free health care. Let me not just say the United States collectively. It was specifically Black people that they didn't want to have 100% free health care. So when you see things like when people say, oh, why don't we have free health care here in the United States? Because we should have it. We have all these billions of dollars for wars, billions of dollars to send to foreign lands like Ukraine and to beat these people. We can send them all of these bombs that cost billions of dollars. We can do all of that, but you can't feed the homeless. You can't give people free health care. Well, they could if they wanted to, but they don't want to because they'd rather watch people like me suffer. And even if that means that some of them will suffer as well, because all of them can't afford health care either. But that's okay, because they feel like there's casualties in war. The only thing that the racist demons and devils like, okay, that they think about is blood and revenue. And that's just facts. And no empathy nor sympathy do they ever exhibit for those whom they have disdain for. But yet, when they find themselves in a pickle, like they are now. They want the world, and even the people they have disdain for, to feel sympathy and empathy and side with them. Notice how they always want Black folk to be angry at the same leaders or nations of people that they're angry with. That's how it's always been. Why do they care if we're so nefarious, okay, and they look down on us so much so and want to keep their foot on our necks? Why do they care what we think or if we side collectively with their thinking points? Okay? Because they feel like we owe that to them, because they feel like they own us. All right? So with that all being said, Albie Chill said, I feel nothing. I don't either. Okay, I don't feel sorry for racist demons and devils. They should absolutely be going through it, and I hope they are and continue to do so. If you voted for Trump, especially if you were dumb enough to vote for him three times, well, you know, I hope you see just what it has gotten for you. Because this war is not going to benefit us in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Trump can continue to sit there and lie and make up these ridiculous stories that are so sad and pathetic. They make no sense to an idiot. Talking about they sent him a gift. Pay attention. Now think about what the gift could possibly have been, even if it were vaguely true. When he said they sent him a big, very expensive gift, it's worth a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but it was a very nice gift, and it shows that we're dealing with the right people. What? Then he says it had something to do with gas and oil. What big, expensive gift that's worth so much money could they possibly have sent him that is tied to oil and gas? If they were going to send Trump anything, I would imagine that it would be a cluster munition set to go off as soon as he pried open the box. It's the only thing I can fathom them sending him as a gift. Is he serious? Is he okay? Trump, are you cool? It could all make sense. Ha! Robert said Jack in the Box. Okay, anyway, listen, I'm out of here. Stay tuned for more war updates and the Epstein talk later on this evening. Until next time, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got